In court today, attorney Kamal Ramkaran, representing Christopher Ram, briefly summarized the application he made to the court. The key declarations Ram is seeking are these. 1. That the December 21st no confidence motion in the National Assembly was properly, validly, and lawfully passed. That the passage of the no confidence motion requires the resignation of the cabinet, including the president, with all convenient speed. That in accordance with Article 1067 of the Constitution, elections should be held within 90 days of the passage of the motion, meaning elections should be held no later than March 21st. Attorney Ramkaran argued that the use of the words in Articles 106, 6 and 7 of the Constitution are clear and unambiguous, and that in considering her ruling, the Chief Justice should not look at it through the alley of technicality. He argued that while the Constitution provides for the government to remain in place and for essential functions to be carried out, the Cabinet cannot direct and control the government. As such, he said the government must operate on limited functions until a new government is sworn in. This, he argued, would mean that no major contracts or new legislation are entered into. Business as usual must come to an end, he emphasized. He pointed out that the government ministries are run by permanent secretaries and heads of departments, and they can execute the functions of government, including giving effect to budgetary provisions. Ramkaran further argued that the 90-day timeline for the holding of elections should not be affected by the readiness of the Guyana Elections Commission or even the time the court takes to determine the matter. On the argument of what constitutes a majority in the House, Ramkaran contended that the Constitution only provides for two types of voting, namely a vote of the majority and a vote of two-thirds of the House. And so he dismissed the argument that an absolute majority was needed to pass the no-confidence motion. He said 33 has always been contemplated and used as a majority in the 65-seat Parliament. The Attorney General has contended that a majority of 34 or more is what was needed to pass the motion, on an argument that half of 65 is 32.5 and that half has to be rounded up to 33, and therefore a majority would have to be 33 plus 1 or anything else above. The vote of Mr. Charandas Prasad, which gave the opposition the extra vote it needed, is also being questioned in the court. It is claimed that Mr. Prasad, being a dual citizen, should not have been in the House, and therefore his vote was invalid. Attorney Ramkaran said that Parliament sets out the procedure for challenging the election of a member, and that further a penalty is set out for anyone who does not properly sit in the House. Even so, he said the status of a member and his vote cannot be applied in retrospect, especially since Mr. Prasad was a member of the Assembly and his membership was never questioned. Attorney General Basil Williams argued that nowhere in the Constitution speaks of a caretaker government, and so the government must remain in place until a new president is elected after elections. Then is when the cabinet resigns, he said. Former Attorney General Anil Nandal, representing the leader of the opposition, said the cabinet is compelled to resign by virtue of the passage of the no-confidence motion. However, he agreed that the government cannot cease to function, but he said the cabinet is not the government, that the government is larger than cabinet, which serves in an advisory capacity to the president. He said that Parliament is made up of practice and procedure, and the practice and procedure has always been that 33 is the majority of 65, and the Attorney General has not explained to the court why, when in everything else 33 is treated as majority, it has to be different when it comes to a vote of no confidence.